Hey, Nick Peterson here, and we're going to talk about processing information in a powerful way. One thing I want you to keep in mind is the colloquial use of power. I'm going to say powerful. It's different than forceful, okay? Because force in physics always creates a counterforce, right? That's some sort of resistance, and if we can avoid that, why not, right? So it's a powerful way to process information, not a forceful way. And you'll kind of explain why I make that distinction, because if you try to force your way through it, you're actually going to hurt the amount of information you can process, retain, and understand, right? This is like if you've heard anything I've done, you know how adamant I am about sleep and the learning process and mastery, right? Understanding concepts and how important sleep is. So if you try to force your way through studying without sleeping, you're leaving a lot of learning on the table. Okay, so let's talk about a powerful way. And first of all, mental models and concepts. Understand that we are always biasing mental models and concepts in as many different domains as possible. So you share some mental models in mathematics, biology, ecology, things like basic fundamental understanding of how things work. That would be like your biases and things like that, right? Your laws of physics, your laws of science, your laws of energy. Just to understand these things, and that we're always biasing concepts and mental models, because we can, if we have the mental model, we have the concept, we can apply it in any situation, and we don't have to memorize how to do a thing, but we can work from the ground up and figure it out as long as we have the general concepts, right? So this is actually from an inner circle meetup. Dr. Trevor Kashi introduced this to me. And if you haven't heard me say it by now, Dr. Kashi is probably the single best learner I have ever met. He can sit down and learn something in such great detail in a fraction of the time it takes most people. And so this is kind of from his notes. He shared this on with Inner Circle with me. I'm just going to elaborate on it and break it down. And this is how I took my capacity to hold complex things and distill them down and synthesize them, and threw some serious fuel on it. Okay, so this is fuel to the fire here. He says, "Do not swim upstream." Okay, this is power versus force. Do not force yourself upstream. This is kind of like understanding there's that tedium that comes with mastering something new. The tedium is going to happen. You're going to have to force through some shit, but we want to make the force minimal. Okay, how do we become powerful? How do we maximize what we're getting done with the minimum amount of tedium? You're not going to avoid the tedium, but don't swim upstream. So what you want to do is you want to measure your attention. Get a little timer, right? A little Pomerado or whatever they're called, a little timer, and turn all your lights off and get to some deep work, right? Turn your lights off, turn your lamp on, and focus on something, whatever it is you're trying to master. All distractions off. When I say lights, I just mean distractions. And get to work. But be aware that once you start thinking about the internet, Facebook, cats, boobs, whatever, right? Look, how long did that take? 15 minutes? Cool. Take a short break, check Facebook, give yourself a 5-minute reward, come back and do it again. Okay, now over time, we need that attention to spread out. About 55 minutes is probably going to be the max. But if you can do that 4 times, you're going to get the maximum. People have about 4 hours of deep learning in them per day, maximum. Anything beyond that, and it's not really deep learning, you're better off diffusing, relaxing, and sleeping, because I love sleep, right? So we want to, instead of a 4-hour block, if we can measure our attention and rest in between, we are getting the maximum value for each of those blocks of minutes, right? So the total of 4 hours is more effective than 4 hours straight. So measure attention, think about boobs, rest, relax. If you don't think about boobs, whatever you think about, and move on. right? Over time, that'll get a little bit, your attention span will grow. Okay, once you hit about 55 minutes, you're pretty good. You do that 3 or 4 times a day, and you're gonna be max efficiency. You're gonna be a powerful learner. Two, dedicated workspace. I am huge on this. You can see my lamp, the reflection behind me. This is a multifaceted trick for me. Dedicated space. Your brain is highly associative. So if you do a lot of things in your bed, like if you work while you're sitting in bed, your brain is going to associate bed with work and sleep and sex and whatever, right? It doesn't really trigger a specific cue. But if you only sleep in your bed, your brain is associated enough to cue sleep. If you only work at this desk, this cue compels me to work. Okay, the brain is super highly associative like that. I mean, that's our circadian rhythms, right? Are based on this highly associative capacity of our brain. So dedicated workspace. And if you can't have a dedicated workspace, this is the multifaceted part. If there's no way you can have a dedicated workspace, have a lamp. Okay? When the lamp is on, work. When you're done working, lamp off. That's still something your brain can attach to and use that associative power. Okay, so we got that. Now let's talk about what you need to be learning, right? You need to be able to distinguish between concepts and facts. Facts. What is each bone and muscle in the body? Right? You have to memorize those. Concepts. What does each one do? Right? Now, what you want to do with these concepts, or even these facts you can come up with like mnemonics and stuff to memorize them. But with the concepts, this is what I do. I'm gonna explain. Usually I don't suggest people highlight because they highlight it, and every time they see it, they recognize it, but they can't recall it from the nethers, which means they don't really know shit, right? So how do you know shit? How do you actually get to like internalize and be useful? Because repeating what you've heard isn't useful. Applying it in different situations is very useful. You read it. I read and highlight because I go back and reread. Either way, you read it and you spend 80% of your reading time repeating what you have heard and teaching it in different concepts. So if you follow me on Facebook or sometimes Instagram or you're on my email list, you'll see I blast out a lot of emails and people are like, whoa, this really resonates. I am not trying to talk to anybody. I'm learning actively, powerfully. So what I'm doing is I'm reading this concept of, I don't know, let's say regression toward the mean. Like, oh, that's interesting. Now I have a word for it, or I have a concept. What does that mean for me in my life? And then I think about it and I play out scenarios where regression toward the mean may have been the cause of something, and I attribute the cause to something else, whatever. And then I say, what does this mean to my employees or my clients or my business partners, right? And then I write a post to them, teaching them how this concept applies to their life. Now I have learned a thing, right? I have learned the concept, not just the name, but I've applied it to my life, which is a tacit knowledge. And then I made it more explicit and codified it by writing to somebody else. So this is teaching in a new context. And that is a very, very powerful, powerful way to learn. Now, I don't recommend you go around unsolicited teaching people shit. That's why I write it down. You could blog in it. But swap contexts. So don't repeat what you heard in the book. Take what you heard in the book or the video or the conversation, reword it in the context of your life, and then reword it again in the context of the life of the people that need your help. And now you have learned it tacitly. So you still have to go out and do it, right? You have made it a little more explicit and you've begun to codify it by putting it out there and getting feedback. Powerful, powerful system of processing information. Hope you guys realize you just got hit with some really powerful and pragmatic stuff. Don't you think? I do. And if you agree, hit the thumbs up button below and like the video. Let me know in the comments what other videos you want to see, what you want me to expand upon, and what questions you have. And remember, all of this stuff is only as powerful as the actions you take in your execution, the practical applications you can derive from it. So let's see how quickly and effectively and efficiently you can master the things to come. You're going to get information here that's going to help you on your journey that you will not find anywhere else. So be sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss one of these videos.